Hello, Commonwealth Sport Canada community. My name is Aerin England. I am the social media lead behind the Commonwealth Sport Canada accounts. You are tuning into Champ Chats, the series where we dive a little bit deeper into the lives of athletes and alumni of the Commonwealth Games. Today, I am joined by an athlete who is fierce and fearless. She is an East Coast girl who stepped onto the mat for the first time in her hometown of Halifax, Nova Scotia. She made history as one of only 2 Canadian gymnasts to ever become a 3-time Olympian, and she is the most decorated Canadian gymnast at the Pan Am Games. To top all that off, she represented Canada at the 2014 Glasgow Commonwealth Games and the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, taking away 3 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze for a grand total of 6 medals. With all her experience, I really could go on and on, but for time's sake, welcome to Champ Chats, Ellie Black. Ellie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. Let's start by talking a little bit about your Olympic experience. Tokyo was not your first rodeo. You also competed in London and Rio. Did your experience at the Olympics evolve at all between coming into London as a 16-year-old and the Tokyo Games, where you are a well-established leader of the Canadian team?
Yeah, for sure. My Olympic experiences, each one were very, very different in their own ways. I was 16 at my first Olympic Games. I had no clue what to expect. I was one of the youngest on the team, definitely the least experienced. And it was a phenomenal experience just to be able to go out there, gain more experience, be a part of Team Canada, see what that was all about, and kind of get that footing. And then as I kind of progressed through the next quad, working towards 2016, there I was one of the older ones, more of a leader on the team. It was my second Olympic Games, so I had some experience to pull from my first one, and to bring that towards the team. And then definitely moving into the final quad that just happened, I was the oldest on the team, definitely the most experienced. And then we hit COVID, and that just changed everything as well. So that was something new to navigate through. But each one was very unique in its own way. It changes where it's being hosted. The venues are very different. The equipment changes, the team changes, you change. So, each one was very special in its own way, but definitely an incredible experience. And I definitely grew a lot as a person and as an athlete from my first Olympic Games to Tokyo.
I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of strategy that goes behind preparing an athlete for the Olympics. How did competing in the Commonwealth Games help prepare you for the Olympic Games?
The Commonwealth is probably one of my favorite competitions, actually. Competing at the Commonwealth Games is definitely a really good preparation for the Olympic Games. It's kind of like the Olympics on a little bit of a smaller scale. And the Commonwealth is just so awesome because it's awesome countries that are involved. Most people speak English, so there's none of that language barrier, so you can connect a lot really well with all your competitors. It's very, very friendly. I find the environment is really great, and it's maybe a little bit less stressful than the Olympic Games, but it kind of gives you that sense of what an Olympic Games is going to be like, staying in a village, competing in a multi-sport event, having a big venue, having that dining hall, that whole experience. So Commonwealth definitely is a really good stepping stone to prepare for the Olympics. And I found that was a really big thing for me, preparing for my second Olympic Games, having more of a games experience going in, because my first Olympic Games, I had never done any kind of games before. The Olympics was the biggest competition I'd ever done, and it was a little overwhelming. So to have Commonwealth to kind of like give me a bit more information and give me a little bit more time to learn was really great going into my second Olympics.
You touched on this a little bit, but tell me a little bit about your overall Commonwealth Games experience. How did it differ from other international competitions that you've competed in?
Yeah, so I guess, Commonwealth for me is one of the more fun competitions I've ever done. My coach really, really enjoyed it, and that got me really excited to go to Commonwealth. I know a lot of the girls who compete for those countries, so it felt like we could connect a lot, and I could really just enjoy that experience. But I would say it's just an amazing atmosphere. It's a great stepping stone as a competition. And I think the key thing is it is a multi-sport event. So you get to meet other athletes from your country that do other sports, which normally at other international competitions, we don't get a chance to do at world championships or international meets. It's usually just our sport. So I really enjoyed that. And then as well, we've got a men's gymnastics team and a women's gymnastics team. And it's nice for us to be able to bond and connect. So I think one of the greatest things is just being able to meet other athletes from around the world, but also from your own country in other sport disciplines, and really be able to connect and follow their journeys, as they work towards the Olympics as well.
You were the all-around champion at the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, and Australia seems like a pretty cool place to compete. The Athletes Village is kind of where all those athletes come together in between events. Can you tell us a little bit what that Athlete Village was like in Australia?
Yeah, the Australian Commonwealth Games was super, super fun. In Glasgow, I just kind of missed out on the podium, the all around. So I was really excited to go back and compete. And then to win the gold was phenomenal. I've always wanted to go to Australia, so I was super excited to be there. And the fun thing about the Commonwealth Games is that you have also a little bit of time to explore and go see around. And so we did a little bit of sightseeing outside of the village, but inside the village, it was incredible. It was so beautiful. There were pools out for, we had pools depending on the buildings you were in. So there was one like in our backyard. We would just go hang out there and do our rest and recovery. There was a place in the village where you could go get smoothies made, which was super awesome because I've never had that at the games before. So it just had these kind of unique little bits in the village that I think brought some of that, down under Australian vibes, excitement kind of to the games, because it was warm weather, it was hot weather, the sun was shining, and sometimes for the Commonwealth, in Glasgow is a little bit more rainy. So it was a little bit different, the weather-wise, but we really got to experience that, and we got to experience, just being in that atmosphere and what comes along with it.
You've brought this up in a few of your answers. The Commonwealth Games is a really fun event and it's a unique competition. Do you have a favorite memory from either the 2014 or the 2018 Commonwealth Games?
I think there's a few that stand out. For me in Glasgow, we had one of our team coaches. She really doesn't like to try different foods. And so I remember there was something, I think it was a dessert called syllabub. And, we said if we did well in the competition, she would try it. So I just remember that sticking out to me, this weird dessert called syllabub. It was actually pretty good. But our whole team like doing the competition so she could try that. And then as well in Glasgow, Team Canada they were kind of like flannel pants and like flannel kind of outfits going on. And they were like the talk of the town. Everyone wanted them. Everyone wanted to trade for these pants. And I remember competing and the coaches are like out on the floor with flannel, like kind of pajama pants, which was quite funny for us because usually on the competition floor, we're like strict with, what you're allowed to wear. But at the games, you wear what you're given, and there's certain attire to wear for the competition, but that was it. So I think that was something really fun and exciting. Trading the clothes is always fun once you're done with it. You don't need it anymore. But I think also in Australia, I think they brought in, I think there were some puppies to the village, and they did like a little meet and greet, and you could come like cuddle with these dogs kind of as like a de-stressor in the village, and that was super fun.
Puppies might be the best de-stressor I've heard yet.
Yes.
Ellie, you're such a positive role model to young gymnasts and young female athletes in general. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice as a young athlete, what would that be?
I think there's lots of advice I'd give to myself, but I think one of the big things for me is to be patient and enjoy the process, whether that means it's going great or, you're having a hard time. You can't do your sport forever, and you need to enjoy all aspects of it. And the great part of the sport is going through those obstacles and overcoming them and showing yourself that you can do it, and showing yourself that you can persevere and stick with it. And so I think it would just be to be patient, to trust the process, kind of take it one step at a time, but really enjoy all that comes with it, because you can't do it forever, and you just got to work hard and enjoy, what the sport brings.
That's such great advice. Okay, we're gonna wrap up this interview with a little bit of a fun segment of this or that. I'm gonna give you two rapid fire options and you're gonna hit back with whichever one you prefer. Ready?
Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready.
Starting with Instagram or Twitter,
Instagram,
ponytail or bun,
ponytail,
Australian outback or Scottish castles,
both if I can choose, but maybe Australian outback.
okay, beam or vault,
Vault,
okay, and last but not least, opening ceremonies or closing ceremonies.
closing ceremonies.
Good answer. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ellie, for your time today. It's been so fun talking to you. I will make sure to list all your social media accounts so everyone tuning in can follow along with where your journey takes you next. And a big thank you to everybody watching, and tune in next time for a new conversation with another champ.